And it is officially the beginning of class time. So 2 little notes. I will still be using a slant plank because I broke my ankle in November and need it for some standing poses. Nobody else needs a slant plank. I just didn't want people to think that it's something you should be using also. It's because of my injury. And then Anne had wanted us to finish, go ahead, scram. Anne had wanted us to continue with the sequencing in the back of Light on Yoga. So we're on week 7 and it's a consolidation week. But one of the things it says is consolidate the asanas and increase the length of stay in all of them. So we're going to increase the length of stay, but that means I'm not sure we'll get through all of the asanas on the list in an hour and 15 minutes. If we don't, I'll let you know the ones that you can practice at home, okay? So let's go ahead and take a seated position and begin. I'm gonna start, we should all start in Swastikasana today, so cross-legged position, knife edges of the feet on the floor, feet under the knees and sides of the feet pointing forward, sideways to the walls. So this isn't the one on the tops of the feet. And then for a moment, sit up as tall as you can. You can use your fingertips to lift your spine, lift the sternum, roll the shoulders back. And then from the best upright seated position you have, gently draw your feet as if you were drawing toward each other. So my feet are moving toward each other. I'm not changing anything else. I'm just kind of dragging my feet. They're not moving on the floor, but they're energetically on the mat moving toward each other. Does that give you more lift? For me, it does. When my feet squeeze toward each other, it helps everything lift from my tailbone all the way up. So maintain that lift. Glasses off if you wear them. Bring your palms together and allow your eyes to close. And for just a moment, observe your own breath. And use that breath observation to draw yourself into the interior realm of yoga. I'll chant 3 ohms. You can join or listen. Re-lift your chest. Set an intention for your practice this morning. Release your head to your heart. Release your hands, raise your head, and softly open your eyes and let the light in. So, in an effort, well, let's cross our legs the opposite way for just a moment. So extend your legs to Dandasana, just so that we can stay even. Notice which leg came out first. And whichever leg came out first, bring that one in first so that you're in your opposite cross. Take a moment to be sure that the feet are under the knees, the soles of the feet are pointing sideways. Do the same action once you're sitting up straight of drawing the 2 feet back toward each other and allow that to bring the entire spinal column up. And then let's go ahead and do a quick Bataguliasana just to open up the shoulders. So interlace the fingers, rotate the palms forward, draw the trapezius muscles down, and swing your arms up. Press through the palms, press up to the ceiling, straighten the elbows as much as possible by pulling through the palms and descending the trapezius muscles. And once you've got full extension, see if you can move the hands behind your ears, any amount. One more breath, get taller and release. Change the cross of fingers. Second side. Press the hands, trapezius muscles down, round from the true sits bones, and from those sits bones, swing the arms up. 2 lines of energy. 2 sits bones all the way through straight elbows and palms. Press the palms to the ceilings and draw the trapezius muscles down. 1 more breath. And release. And then come to standing. Tadasana is our first asana on this week 7 sequence. And to make it just a little more interesting, take your 2 bricks. 1 brick, narrow width at your feet. 1 brick, oops. Guess you don't need to see my head, but it would probably be nice. 1 brick, also narrow width between your thighs, as high as possible, so that when you squeeze your thighs and roll them back, it shows you if the legs are working equally. So again, touch the big toe base joints to the bottom brick and the inner heels. Press equally through all 4 points of the feet, 2 points of the heels, 2 points of the big toe base joints. Make sure there's weight in the heels. Do not roll toward the toe side. And then engage your quads, lift the knees, roll the thighs back to the wall behind you, descend the tailbone, and then take a peek down. Is your block tilting to the left or right? This is an excellent way to notice if one of your legs is working differently than the other. So after you've checked, correct, see if you can get that block to face forward, and again, keep working the legs. Quadriceps are engaged, buttocks are pulling down, thighs are slightly rolling inward. Good, and then just for some length, let's swing our arms up into Urdhva Hastasana. Reach the arms up, reach the heels down, keep the leg action. 1 more reach. And then release the arms, remove both bricks, and we'll take a classical Tadasana to incorporate what we just did with the props. So unless you have low back pain, in which case you should keep your feet hip width, feet together. Press through the points of the feet, lift the quads, engage the buttock muscles down, roll the shoulders back and get tall. Tadasana. We won't go into Urdhva Hastasana because we're focusing on Tadasana. Lift all 10 toes. If that brought the weight more firmly back into your heels, then remember that your tendency is to put weight in the toes. So keep the weight in the heels as you gently let the toes down. And then release. Asana number 2 is Vrikshasana. And because it is so dry, I need something sticky to keep my thigh and my foot connected. My feet tend to slide. From Tadasana, and if you need the support of a wall, you can walk close to a wall. From Tadasana, roll your right leg out. Just turn the foot out. Lift it. Really get the rotation here. Open that leg out to the side and then place the heel as high into the groin as possible. Descend the buttocks, press the thigh into the foot and the foot into the thigh, and then bring your palms to Namaskar. Keep descending the buttocks, keep pressing the foot against the thigh and the thigh against the heel, and then raise your arms. Breathe. Press into the standing toe, big toe base joint, and keep descending the hip of the lifted leg. Good. 1 more breath. And hands down, foot down. Good. I'm going to turn my heater off now. I'm warming up. Thank you, Yoga. Second side. From Tadasana, turn your left leg out. Lift it to the side. Take a moment to open the groin here. You can use your arm against the thigh. And then place the foot as high up in the groin as you can. Take a moment to send the hip. And then Namaskar, you're pressing the foot into the thigh and the standing thigh muscle back into the foot. It's going two ways. Keep pressing the standing foot's big toe base joint as you raise your arms and extend. Breathe. Check back in with all of the actions. Standing big toe base joint, thigh against the foot, foot against the thigh, arms up, elbows straight. One more breath. And then palms down and foot down. Good. Konasana. So get the props that you need. If you like the bricks, use the bricks. Again, I need a little support under a formerly broken ankle, but you don't. From Tadasana. Again, get the weight back into the heels. Yep. And then step or jump wide. Outer edges of the feet parallel to the outer edges of the mat. Be sure that's true for you. Good. Descend the buttock flesh now to take the curl out of the low back. And then left toes in a little on mirroring. Right leg all the way to the right. Then re-square the pelvis and torso. Lift the side ribs, expand the arms, and come to the side. Rest your hand on a brick or your shin. Roll the chest up to the ceiling. Roll the trapezius muscles back. Press into the back heel. That back leg should be poker straight and working fiercely. Rotate the torso one more time. Everybody pull the hip of the right leg back towards your left buttock and shoot the torso out from that. Be sure that the bottom ribs are not curving. They're supposed to be straight. So extend up, extend. Everybody take your thumb into that right armpit. Raise your bottom hand. This is tricky, this requires muscle, but take your thumb into the armpit. Yes, and lift that away. Yes, and that straightened a lot of those bottom ribs. Keep that, rest your hand one more time. Rotate the torso. And see with that correction, we've even stayed in this pose longer than usual, as Mr. Iyengar asked. And then lift to come out. Toes forward. Hands on the hips to take just a breath. And then we will head to the second side. So watch just a second. For several people, what I was seeing is this, the torso curving down. So when we take the armpit up, that gives us the straight lines. That's what the pose does, okay? So second side, arms out. This time, right toes in a little, left leg all the way to the left. Re-square the pelvis and torso. Put weight in the back heel, lift up through the side ribs, and come down to your brick or your shin. Then rotate the torso to the ceiling. Keep weight in that back leg. Since we did it on the other side, let's be even. Take your left hand, move the thumb to the armpit, and extend those bottom rib side torso. There you go. And when you are as long and straight as you can be, replace the hand, pull the two arms away from each other, and abide in the pose for 2 more breaths. And then lift up, toes forward, and step or jump together. Excellent. Parsva Konasana, side angle pose. And for this, I do like bricks. So once again, from Tadasana, Step or jump wide. Make sure the outer edges of the feet are parallel to the outer edges of the mat. Turn your left toes in a little, right leg all the way right, and then stop and re-square the pelvis. Good. Now this is the bent knee pose. We're gonna bend our knees 3 times, ensuring that we track the knee over the middle toe, okay? So just to warm up before we stay in it. So descend, look and be sure the knee's tracking over the middle toe, and up. Keep the torso straight up and down, don't let the torso lean. 2, and up, and 3, knee over the middle toe, torso straight up, and stay. Good, and then reach your hand for your support. At the beginning, prop your left hand on your hip. Rotate your torso forward. Make sure the back leg is both straight and holding weight. Good, everybody descend your hips a little more. Yes. And then press the bent knee into the elbow and the elbow into the knee. Rotate the chest any amount more open towards your screen. And then left arm back first, like Shavasana. Then straight up. Then turn the palm toward your head side. Put weight back in the back heel and descend your hips again because some of our hips are coming up. And then to complete the pose with an exhalation, bring the arm up over the ear. Look up under that arm, straight leg. One line of energy from that left heel through the left ring finger. This is a tough pose. Stretch the arm out. One more breath. And to come up, release the arm, raise the torso, straighten the knee, toes forward. Good. Hands on the hips for one breath. If, I'm going to show something here too. If your pose is bringing you like this, that's not the pose. So come up higher, use more brick or come up on your fingertips. The pose really is one line from the heel through the arm. So if for some reason you're coming over, it feels like more of a stretch, but it's not the pose. So be sure that there's that one line. Second side, arms out. This time right toes in a little, left leg all the way to the left, re-square the pelvis and torso. We'll do the same 3 bends, making sure that the knee tracks over the middle toe. Then once, and up, bend twice, and up. Bend the 3rd time and stay. Good. Don't let the knee come ahead of the toes, so look down, and if your knee's ahead of your toes, scoot your feet out. Yeah, good correction. And then reach out for your brick and prop your back hand on your hip. Put weight in the back heel. Don't put the weight in all in the front foot. Press the bent knee against the elbow and the elbow against the bent knee to rotate. Good. Then keeping the legs working. Shavasana right arm. Then the arm straight up, look straight ahead. Unless it hurts your neck, then you can look down. Turn the palm to the head side. And then bring the arm in one line with that back leg. Press the heel. Extend through the ring finger. Everybody descend the hips 1/2 inch. And then to come out, arm back to parallel, torso up, straighten the knee, turn the toes forward, and step or jump to Tadasana. Good. That is a very warming pose. I should have been doing that all week. All right, Vira 1. So Virabhadrasana 1, we will start in the classic form in our Tadasana. Step or jump wide. Turn the palms and raise the arms up. You'll be turning to your right. I'm mirroring, so bend your knees and left toes out a little and right leg all the way to the right, and then square your hips and pelvis to the right. And I'm having a little trouble with that previously injured back leg. Where did my break go? So then from the straight legged position, put weight in the back heel. And keeping the hips as square as possible, although they will tilt a little, go ahead and bend the front knee. Bend the front knee. My back leg's coming up because of the broken heel. Ignore that. If possible, keep the leg on the ground. If it's not possible, raise the heel, of course. But everybody, straight back leg. Just send a little more. See if you can come to a 45-degree angle in that front knee. Lift the torso. If it's okay on your neck, look up. And then straighten the front knee. Turn back to the side. And hands on your hips. Good. Second side. Start from the proper pose. So again, outer edges of the feet parallel to the outer edges of the mat, buttocks down, arms up, turn the palms up, and then Urdhva. This time, right toes out a little, left leg all the way to the left. Stop for a second, get weight in that back heel. Poker straight back leg. Buttocks descend down, arms descend up, sternum ascends up. And then with an exhalation, bend the front knee to 45 degrees. Press the back heel. Level the hips to their safe maximum. If it's okay with your neck, look up. These are looking good, but everybody can descend that front thigh more. Even just a half inch, see what you can do. Good. Then straighten the leg. Turn to the side. Arms down and step or jump. Together, good. That's a hard pose. That's the first Virabhadrasana, and that's the hardest one in my opinion, so good for us. Now VR2, which is just like Parsvottanasana, but we don't bring the hands down. So from Tadasana, again, weight in the heels, buttocks down, step or jump wide. Left toes in slightly, right leg all the way to the right. Re-square the pelvis and torso. Make sure you're not leaning toward the front leg. Good. And then with an exhalation, descend the right knee to 45 degrees, keeping the torso straight up and down and keeping the back heel pressing. Keep weight in that back leg and keep that back leg straight. Check, be sure that the knee is tracking over the middle toe. And everybody can descend just a little more if you have it in you. And then look over the right fingertips to complete the pose, but don't let the torso turn. So if you're leaning towards your knee, raise the torso back up. No leaning forward, torso up. Good, one more breath. And straighten the bent knee. Turn the toes forward. Rest the hands on the hips. These are strong poses. Second side, from feet parallel, arms up. This time right toes in a little, left leg all the way to the left. Re-square the pelvis and torso. And with an exhalation, bend the left knee, but keep the torso straight up. Check to be sure the knee is tracking over the middle toe. And descend even more. Everybody can come down a little further. Then turn your head to look over your left fingertips, but keep your chest open to the front. Keep your torso vertical. Don't lean toward the left knee. One more breath. Straighten the leg. Turn the toes forward and step or jump to Tadasana. Yeah, it's getting nice and warm, isn't it? I might even take off my second long sleeve shirt, even in my drafty house. Next up, Parsvottanasana. Can we do this at the, let's do this at the wall. I think the wall is the best way to do Parsvottanasana at this point. So have your brick. And I'm not mirroring this time. You'll start with your right hip at the wall. And the brick in front of you. Let me just show, because sometimes the way that you turn is challenging. So I will start, and you will start with your right hip at the wall, left leg extended, arms up. Then I will extend my left arm forward to the brick and my right arm straight up. And then I will rotate my torso, keeping my hip against the wall so that my hips don't move. Oh. And I totally did this backwards. So we're gonna start with a little right foot forward. Same thing, but right foot forward. I knew I was doing something wrong. So the hip stays at the wall to let you know that it's not moving. Okay, so I'll walk you through it. And watch everybody. So right hip at the wall, foot forward, the brick right next to or right in front of your right foot. So go ahead and place the brick. Yeah, there you go. Not too much in front of though, because you'll have to reach it. So then put your hip on the wall, arms up, Urdhva. You're still facing your brick, good. And from this Urdhva, still extend your left arm forward and your right arm a little back. And then pivot from the waist and bring that left arm to the brick. And for me, it's right next to my toe, but it depends on how wide apart your legs are. So left hand is on the brick, right hip is still at the wall, right arm is straight up, and now rotate your torso toward the wall. The hips stay level, the torso rotates to the wall. Good. Now everybody press into the back leg. From that back leg, can you push to rotate the torso more? Yes, and keep the head in line with the spine. Excellent, that protects the neck. Good. One more breath. See if you can get any more rotation. And to come out. Bring the right arm down. Bring the torso flush with the legs and come up. Good. Second side. So just turn around, left hip to the wall. Left leg forward. I love the wall. Urdhva. And then reach the right arm forward. Get length in those side ribs as you come down. That's the point of reaching the arm instead of just descending it. So reach to get length and then bring the hand to the brick. And your left arm is up on the wall. And then square the hips. Plant the hands and rotate the torso toward the wall. Keep pressing into the back heel from that point. Really twist the torso. I'm coming to watch. Pretty much everybody can descend the left hip a little and raise the right hip. Good, and that makes the twist harder, but that's better alignment. Nice, one more breath there. And then to come up, release the top hand, turn the torso to the floor, and come up. Yay. And step forward. That's a tricky one, but the wall helps a lot. All right, next up is Parsvottanasana. Forward intense fold. So bricks forward if you use bricks. I changed my camera angle so you can see. And once again, we will start in Tadasana with the bricks a little in front so that when we come back, they will be in place. All right, so again, we'll start in our really good Tadasana. Check the weight on your feet. Be sure that all 4 points have weight. Press into the heels. Lift the toes if you need to be sure that the weight's not too far forward. Then keep the right leg where it is. I'm mirroring, and take the left leg 2 steps back. And then square the hips. You can do your hands to make sure that both hip blades are equal from the front wall. And then hands on the hips. Descend the buttocks. Keep that back leg firm and working. Lift the sternum. And if it's okay with your neck, look up at the ceiling. That opens the thoracic spine. And from this position, then we pivot forward. Keep the spine open. Keep the thoracic leading. And when you are at approximately parallel to the floor, take your hands to your bricks. It can be at any height that you need for a concave back. Repress into the back heel. Extend the sternum forward. Square the pelvis by pulling your right hip back and from the left heel, pushing the left hip forward. Everybody look up and get a little more concave in the thoracic. I'm turning sideways so that you can see my thoracic. So you definitely want it to be sloping downward as much as possible. If that's not working for you at this height, come up on your fingertips. Do whatever you need so that you can have a truly concave spine. And from this position, exhale, bend your elbows, and extend your spine down. It's not about really coming toward the leg, it's about extending the spine long. So just think about extending. How long can your spine go? How long can your spine go? Keep weight on the back heel. Keep both legs active. One more breath in the final position. And then we'll come back up to the concave phase. And take a moment here to, once again, really descend the thoracic spine. And then, hands to the hips. Come up to standing. And step the foot forward. I'll face you all again. Good. Then back to Tadasana. Weight in the heels. Second side. Leave your left leg where it is and take 2 steps back with your right leg. Then square the hips. Again, you're pressing from the right heel to push the right hip forward, and you're pulling back from the left big toe base joint to pull the left hip back. So you can use your fingertips to be sure that those hip blades are equidistant from the wall in front of you. Good. Then hands on your hips, weight in the back leg. As you lift your sternum, coil the thoracic, and if it's okay with your neck, look up at the ceiling. And pivot from the hips, keep that thoracic leading. Spine forward, and when you're parallel, I moved. Hands to the bricks and descend the thoracic spine. It started out already leading, so the thoracic started out pulling toward the floor. Be sure that you're still doing that. Keep weight in the back heel. Extend through the spine. It should be both long and curving toward the floor at the top, not at the bottom. So one more attempt to pull those thoracic spines toward the floor, sternum toward the floor. And then with an exhalation, bend the elbows and extend the torso over the front leg to your capacity. Keep both legs engaged. Press the front big toe base joint. Pull that front hip back. And then come back to the concave face. Re-square the hips if they came askew. Once again, emphasize the descent of the thoracic spine. And then hands to the hips. Raise the torso. And step the feet, together. Good. Everybody doing okay? Yes or no? Yes, I can't see everybody's thumbs. Okay, thank you. And from there, Parsvottanasana, lovely. So this is the wide-legged forward folded pose. Find the props that you need that will enable you to support your head if you need that. And once you have your props together, go ahead and take a wide-legged stance on your mat and look down. And again here, and this is one in which it's really easy for people's toes to slide in and out. So really ensure that the edges of your feet are parallel to the edges of your mat, which again, for most of us means it's a little more pigeon-toed than we usually walk. So from here, hands on the hips, press into the outer heels. Move the buttock flesh down to the floor. Lift the sternum. Same thing as we did in the last pose. Lift the sternum into a little baby back bend. Look up at least toward the top of the wall in front of you or the ceiling. And then pivot from the hips and bring your hands to support. That can be the ground or bricks in front of you. And we'll take this concave face first. Press the outer heels. Take as much height as you need to stay concave though. If your back is really bending, put your hands up on bricks. So press into the outer heels. Pull the sternum toward the floor. Look at the wall in front of you. Good. Then walk your hands back. Keep the concave back, but walk your hands back so that your fingertips are in line with your toe tips. I have wrist arthritis. I can't get my palm all the way down, but I'm trying because this is good for my wrist arthritis, no matter how it feels. So press the heels of the hands down if that's possible, elbows straight, stretch those wrists. Oh boy, I love yoga. And then bend your elbows and bring your head down to support. Blankets, blocks, bricks. Press into the outer heels again. Keep the legs working. The legs are engaged. The shoulder blades are moving up to the ceiling, but the head is soft. Stay. I'm coming up to look. If it is accessible for you, straighten your knees. I see some legs that are not entirely straight. If that means you have to raise your head, that's okay. Straight legs are more important than getting all the way to the floor. Gay Gilroy's partner, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, but your hips are too far forward, so move your hips back to be in line with your heels. And I apologize about the name. Everybody check back in with those heels, really press the heels. See if you can straighten the legs and them out more. When we come up in just 1 minute, we're going to come back up through the concave face. So enjoy the last 2 breaths here in the complete pose. And then raise your head, stretch your arms again with the fingers back. Oh, and your arthritis talking to you. Then walk the hands forward. Descend the thoracic spine. Pull the sternum toward the floor. Then before we come up with the torso, heel toe the feet in. Otherwise, it's a little too easy to stretch the groins, to overstretch the groins. Then hands to the hips, roll the shoulders back, and come all the way up. All right. So now Mr. Iyengar moves us into Parsvottanasana, which is the 30, 60, 90s. So floor work. So I'm moving my camera so that you can still see. If you have lower back issues, that means you are going to want a blanket on your mat. I will show. So people with lower back issues have a blanket for your sacrum, like this, okay? If you don't have lower back issues, you do not need the blanket support. You have choices. If you have pretty good experiences in this pose, you can do the classical pose with your arms overhead. If you feel like you need to protect your back or you don't have the strength to do this pose, you can have your wrists tucked under your hips, and that gives you a little more support. So choose your arm position. And then first, tuck your knees into your chest. Roll and tuck your sacrum so it's flat on the floor. And when your sacrum is comfortable, or flat on your blanket if you're using a blanket, and when your sacrum is comfortable, then lift your legs up straight to the ceiling. Press the sacrum down. The abdominal muscles should be flat, smooth, and both moving out from the center to the sides. Good. Press the thighs together. If your lower back is a concern, you can stay here. If it's not, we'll go ahead and descend 30 degrees. Again, keep pressing the sacrum down. Don't let the sacrum come up off the floor. And squeeze the thighs together to allow the big toe base joints to extend out. Then, if it's okay with your back, 30 more degrees down. We're now 30 degrees above the floor. And then descend just to hover, and then all the way back up to 90 degrees. Good. Again, if your lower back does not tolerate that, you can stay at the 90-degree point and tuck your knees anytime you need a break. Otherwise, let's all do 4 more of these at our own pace. Okay, so down to, and take your own pace, but hold for a couple of breaths, because Mr. Iyengar wanted us to hold these poses a little longer in week 7. So squeeze the thighs together and extend through the big toe base joints. Squeezing the thighs really does help with the heaviness of the legs. I don't know why. It's a miracle. Don't let the legs go to sleep. Don't let the feet go to sleep. Keep energy moving through those big toe base joints. That helps too. When you've done all of yours, then go ahead and bend your knees so that I can see. Feet on the floor. Think about extending. Extend through the legs, extend through the big toe base joints. Good, and everybody finish up. Then tuck your knees into your chest, roll to your right, and come up to sitting. Our next piece of fun is Navasana, the Parapuna and Ardha. So both poses. Woo-hoo. If you have trouble balancing and you tend to roll back in your boat pose, roll up a blanket, put it behind your sacrum, and you can use it to support yourself, okay? If you have trouble with the heaviness of your legs in boat pose, you can also use a strap, and the strap can help you hold your legs up, okay? So get the props you think you might need for our Navasanas. Everybody bend your knees. I guess I should show from the side, sorry. Bend your knees and lean a little back. And here, lift the sternum. One of the problems that happens to a lot of people is that their sternum collapses when they come up. So lift the sternum now and make a point of keeping the sternum lifted as you first lift your legs up, sternum lifted, and then swing your arms to the oar position. Lift the sternum. Extend, squeeze the thighs together like we just did in Tadasana. Extend through the big toe base joints. Lift the sternum one more time, straighten the legs, and release. And of course, we get to do that again because you can't just do one boat pose. So bent knees, hands back. Lift the sternum. Lift the legs. Lift the arms and lift the sternum again. And we're holding, so hold. Squeeze the thighs together. Extend through the big toe base joints. Lift the sternum again. And release. Good. Y'all have good stamina. Now the next one is Ardha. So it's the half boat pose. And the difference with that is it doesn't come up as high and the arms are behind our heads. So we start by leaning back and arms behind the heads and extend the legs, and it comes down even lower. And my face and my toes should be at the same level, okay? So yes, good, good. And come down if you need a rest. All right, now we're gonna do, I don't know if Anne has taught this, but I like this a lot. We're gonna go from one to the other, just for grins, okay? Just for chuckles. So we'll start in full boat, and then we'll come down to Ardha, and then we'll come up to full boat, and down to Ardha, and up to full boat. And we'll smile because we're really warm now, okay? So again, all just fun and games. If you don't wanna, that's fine. You can take one or the other instead. But from sternum lifted, Navasana, then back to Ardha Navasana, hands behind your head and come down. Then up to Navasana, then down to Ardha, then up to Navasana, and then out. Yay, us. Next time the power goes out, we'll all do those because those are amazingly warming, aren't they? Boy, am I warm. All right. So Lamba Sarvangasana, it is time for shoulder stand. So set up for your shoulder stand, whatever you do when shoulder stand comes around. There will also be a Halasana. Actually, wait, sorry. And of course, you guys are all muted. But Anne usually includes headstand, doesn't she? It's hard to sub for somebody else. Does she usually include headstand? Do all of you have something that you do for headstand practice or a headstand substitute? Okay, let's go ahead. I was just going through what the appendix said, but let's go ahead. I'm sorry to mess you up, but let's do a headstand first because we do have time, and I just remember that Anne usually does that. So do whatever you do when headstand comes around first, and then we'll do shoulder stand. Sorry about that. Hi, Kristen. I did not see your icon down here before. I don't have a screen as big as Anne's. So go up mindfully, take your time. Good. So press into your forearms. Lift the trapezius muscles away from your head. Engage the buttocks. If you're on the wall, your buttocks should not be on the wall. Your feet should be on the wall, but your buttocks should be away from the wall. So lift the buttocks up to the ceiling. Lift the shoulders up to the ceiling. Heels on the wall, but the buttocks up. And yes, definitely come down and rest when you need to. So buttocks up to the ceiling, inner and outer heels up to the ceiling. If you're done with your headstands, go ahead and take an Adho Mukha Svanasana. We haven't had any down dogs today because it's not in the sequence, but I think a down dog after a headstand is a good idea. Okay. So when you come down, go ahead and take a down dog. Marsha, I can't see your feet, but you look really vertical. Keep compacting the hips and lifting the buttocks up, but that looks good. If you've been in a down dog, come down and rest in a brief child's pose, and then we'll take one more down dog before we transition to shoulder stand. Pull the thighs back in your Adho Mukha Svanasana. Pull the shoulders back in your Adho Mukha Svanasana, but press through the first finger and thumb base joints. That gives the spine traction. Get long in the spine. One more breath, lengthening your spine. And now, walk forward, come up and set up for your Salamba Sarangasana and Halasana. So if you need a chair for Halasana, get that too, because Halasana is part of this sequence. So we're setting up for shoulder stand and plow pose.
Go ahead and come up when you're ready. Laura, your left elbow looks a lot wider than your right. Does that make sense to your body? I have previous shoulder injuries, and so I have similar issues arise on a regular basis. So yeah, put your hands on your back and then walk your hands down your back toward your head, down and up are weird when you're upside down, but walk your hands toward the head side. And the further toward the head side you can get those hands, the better support and the more your sternum can lift. That is hard for me because again, I have tight shoulders and previous shoulder injuries, but that is a lifelong process of my trying to get my hands further down my back in Sarvangasana. Good. And then everybody compact the hips, squeeze the hips together, lift the buttocks to the ceiling, extend through the inner thighs, extend through the heels, extend slightly through the big toe base joints, but not like Barbie doll toes, more like gas pedal. And keep pressing the upper arms. The more you press your upper arms, do an experiment. Does it feel like the sternum can lift more? If it feels like you can't maintain those actions, go ahead and bring your feet back to plow and regroup and go back up. Because again, with my shoulder, I mean, this is a very hard pose on my shoulders. It really is, it requires a lot of shoulder opening and a lot of upper arm strength. So my shoulders get tired in this and I come back to plow, regroup, reorganize, and come back up. And Laura, I'm not picking you're just like me because your elbow's sliding out again. So just something to be aware of. Again, you know, we work with the bodies that we have and we slowly correct the injuries that we have sustained. And it's just important to be aware of them so that we can work on them. Lift the buttocks up to the ceiling. If you can see a lot of your shin, chances are your shins are too far over your face and your buttocks are piking back. So lift the buttocks up to the ceiling. Also walking the hands down the back toward the head side can help straighten the torso and remove those pikes, those V shapes that our torsos try to move into sometimes in this pose. So I'm going to come into a quick Sarvangasana for anybody watching the video later who's not sure what this means. Sarvangasana is shoulder stand. Roll and get on the tops of your shoulders. Walk the hands down the back and raise the legs to vertical. When you practice at home, your shoulder stand should be longer than your headstand. As long as or longer than, but most Iyengar teachers say longer than. If you have not come to Halasana, plow pose yet, go ahead and come to your Halasana. Roll and tuck your shoulders under again. Lift your inner thighs to the ceiling, straight legs. Press the upper arms down. I'm rolling out to look. So if you're still in Sarvangasana, and I know, Marcia, that might not be, that plow might not be easy to sustain in your contraption, so do what you need to do. But otherwise, everybody else come down to plow. So bring your legs down to your chair. Legs to the chair, toe to the chair. We're not coming out entirely, we're coming down to plow, to halasana. Okay. It's okay. So if you just came out, scoot backwards so that your hips are elevated and your torso and head are on the ground. So you're lying with your hips on your old platform and the top of your body down here. And just rest for a moment and feel the effects of the pose. Good. And then everybody come down out of halasana. And then scoot yourself towards your head side so that your hips are on your blanket stack, but your shoulders and head are off and on the floor, and rest that way for a moment. So hips elevated, shoulders and head flat on the floor. So just scoot towards your head side. Laura, you know what I might do if I were you? You don't have to lift your head, but if I were you, I might try a little more blanket height just to work on getting those shoulders even, just for a while, not permanently, but I think that might help. I didn't realize how short your blanket stack was before, but that is very short. Okay. All right, and when you feel rested, tuck your knees into your chest, roll to your right and come up. And this is not in the sequence, but we do have a little time before the last piece of the sequence. And because we did that abdominal work, I want to do a couple of quick twists to relieve any strain that those boat poses and the Parsvottanasana put on the lower back. So everybody, get yourself 2 book folded blankets, and we will sit on those. And we'll start in Dandasana. We'll just do a Marichiasana to release the lower back. So from Dandasana, extend the legs out, lively up the toes. Use your fingertips to press your spine longer and lift the sternum. Good. And you will be twisting to your right first. So take up your left knee, I'm mirroring, and bring the heel in close to your sits bone. And then hold the shin and get tall in the spine, lift the sternum. Good, yeah, no, it's colder when we sit on the floor, isn't it? Then, Urdhva and dive your left arm in front of the knee and swing your right arm around and grab part of your blanket stack. And then twist. With every inhalation, get taller. With every exhalation, twist more. Push the arm into the knee, but also push the knee into the arm. Don't let that left knee wing off to the side. So both the knee and the arm on the bent side are pushing. Good. And keep lifting the sternum. Don't let it collapse in this twist. Inhale, get tall, sternum up. Exhale, twist more by using your arms. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, rotate. One more. And on the last exhalation, go ahead and let your head turn over that right shoulder. We usually save that till last because when the head turns, the body thinks the twist is over and really it will stop twisting as much in the torso. But now go ahead and finish the pose. Look over your right shoulder, one more breath. And release and come back to the center in Dandasana. Reset the Dandasana. Feel what it feels like to be totally symmetrical again. Lift the sternum again, those sinking sternums. And then second side, pick up your right leg. Bring the heel close into the sits bone. Hold the shin to get tall in the spine. Urdhva. And then dive your right arm into the right knee and swing your left hand around and catch a bit of the blanket. And get tall before you twist. So re-stretch the spine, re-lift the sternum, and then start the twist. And again, keep your chin in line with your sternum until the very end. Focus on rotating the torso. Inhale, get tall. Exhale, twist more. Inhale, get longer. Exhale, twist more. And when you've maximized your twist, on the last exhalation, then allow the head to turn, this time over the left shoulder. Keep pulling the right knee in, right knee's in, squeeze the right knee into the elbow. One more breath. And release. One more twist. We're going to do the opposite twist. Hang on. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So use the same leg up that you just had. Still right leg up. Sorry, the backwards thing, the mirroring thing can be tricky. But this time, after we grab our shin and get tall, we're going to raise just the opposite arm, your left arm, and we're going to twist and dive it on the outside of the thigh. So for me, I have to move my abdominal flesh away to get the arm on the outside of the thigh. Good. And then turn around and grab the blankets. And it's easy to press the knee into the arm this time, but keep pressing the arm into the knee and rotate. Rotate from the bottom ribs as much as the top ribs. And keep the sternum lifted. Feel how much the sternum wants to sink here. So work to lift that sternum up and away. Inhale, get tall. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, rotate, and go ahead and finish the pose by turning your head over the right shoulder. And release. Back to Dandasana. Feel the symmetry. And then lift up your left leg, last side. Lift the sternum. Raise your right arm. Dive that arm on the outside of the thigh. And if you have abdominal flesh, move it out of the way. And then swing the left arm back behind and grab the blankets. And again, take your time. Really, that's what spending time inhaling and getting tall and exhaling and twisting does. Move into these twists piece by piece. And on your last inhalation, getting tall. With that last exhalation, allow the head to turn and look over your left shoulder. And then release. And set up for Shavasana. And Mr. Iyengar specifies in this sequence that it is to be a 5-minute Shavasana with Ujjayi Pranayama, which basically means breath observation. We'll just do the first Ujjayi and we will observe our breath in our Shavasana. So set up. If you have support under your head, be sure that it goes all the way to the tops of your shoulders, but does not come under them. If you have any lower back discomfort, put a bolster or blankets under your knees. And keep your knees a little bent for your Shavasana. And whatever you choose to use for Shavasana, once you lie down with bent knees and roll and tuck your shoulders under towards your feet before you then lift your buttocks, move the buttocks toward the heels and extend the legs one by one. And then for me, I have to roll and tuck the shoulders again because moving the buttocks long always untucks my shoulders a little. And palms up, arms at least 45 degrees away from your torso. Cover up if you're cold. You can't descend into Shavasana when you're cold. Glasses off if you wear them. And release all effort. Allow your eyes to release into the back of your head. Release your tongue. Your jaw. Your throat. If thoughts come into your mind, acknowledge them and let them go. And return your attention to simple breath observation. In and out. Draw your awareness back. Extend your fingers. Extend your toes. Bring your hands to your rib cage. And draw one knee into your chest and hold it. Followed by the other and hold them both. Give yourself a little hug. And then roll to the right and rest on your side for a moment. And when you're ready, head last. Press yourself up to seated. Let your head hang, look at the floor. And come to a seated position, and we'll pay our respect to the practice. Thank you all for joining me.